dropped in. Peter from the Netherlands, everybody. He's a great man. Okay. That better? It sounds better to me too. Thank you. All right. This opportunity that Scouts Australia had some years ago to have their adult training formally recognised was an opportunity that we could not let go. In other words, at the time this occurred in the 1990s in Australia, the vocational education and training sector were looking at organisations and opportunities where there could be mutual benefit. To cut a very, very long story very, very short, Scouts Australia became a registered training organisation registered by the federal government. Now, that opportunity has been enormously beneficial, and it's been beneficial for all the adults that are members of Scouts Australia. Let me outline some of those things. Here's the first bit. Now, obviously, as you can see by that picture there is that look of delight, that pleasure, and a real appreciation. This person is being presented with a certificate 4 in frontline management. A certificate 4 in frontline management. Now, that person there has done a lot of work, but has not done it independently and gone to a vet, a vocational education and training provider, or somewhere else. They did all of that simply by doing their wood badge training in scouting. We're able to map and use the wood badge training program and link that to certain industry packages to be able to offer not only wood badge but these additional qualifications. And that is an opportunity that made for our leaders in Scouts Australia, recognising their achievements by giving them something extra that they had for doing their wood badge training. Now that, folks, to me, is exciting. It's very exciting. Simple reason. Many of our folk, maybe like you, might have left school a little earlier. You didn't get a chance to go to university or to do a trade or anything of that nature. What this certificate did was to give them an opportunity to look at other job prospects and other career pathways simply because they had a qualification, and they got that qualification through scouting. So we have one happy camper, as you can see by that picture. Now, the lady in the picture is well known to a number of us, and she works in the National Training Office in Queensland, Australia. So rewarding volunteers has been a key part of being able to recognise the work they've done in training. Thanks. Now, what does that simply mean? If you get your Gilwell Woggle and you do all the training in your basic level, you earn an opportunity. You actually equate that to a Certificate 3. A Certificate 3 in a business and an opportunity to have something else in your curriculum vitae or your resume to allow you other opportunities should you wish to pursue them. If you did your advanced training, yep, next one. In other words, you got your wood badge and you got your Gilwell scarf and all those things that go with that. You did your advanced training. That also allowed you to get a Certificate 4 in frontline management. And because currently in Australia, it's going to change in the near future, if you have first aid qualifications and you've done the bits and pieces you needed to do, you could also get a Certificate 4 in leadership. Now, the leadership qualifications have been Scouts Australia's own qualifications. Now, there's a value-add package. Do your wood badge, and you are recognised for doing your training by getting these 2 other qualifications. Now, isn't that exciting? Okay, yeah. Well, at the time for many people, and I've got to tell you a little story. I'll tell it now. I'll keep it for the next bit. Because once you get those qualifications, it allows you to move on to the pathway to get a diploma. And that even adds more value to career prospects for those that need to do that. So with the diploma, thanks, after Wood Badge, you can spend some time and get a diploma in management and a diploma in leadership. And they can be earned together using your scout training, your scout experiences, or the work role that you do, whatever it is, can all be part of you getting those particular qualifications. Now that is value adding. That is recognising a person's contribution for doing scout training. Formal recognition of their work. Now, the story I want to tell you before we come to this one, sorry, Sard. The story I want to quickly tell you is I know of a gentleman who came, I had a discussion with this guy, and he worked in a factory. It was actually a rather large warehouse, and he drove a forklift. And he went one day to his boss, look, I'm doing the diploma of leadership and I'm doing the diploma of business at that particular time. And his supervisor, manager said, Fred, for want of a better name, Fred, I don't know what good that's going to do you, as if to say, I didn't think you were capable of doing those sorts of things. And young Fred said, well, okay, thank you very much, thank you for your support, and quietly went away. Spent some more time, completed all the work he had to do, and earned his diploma of business at that stage, and he got his diploma of leadership. Now, at that time, in Scouts Australia, we used to frame those diplomas up into a nice presentation frame, and a big deal was made. It's like getting Anthony Chan out here to say, look, Anthony, we've got this for you. It's all presented. Congratulations. It's a big deal and a big opportunity. Recognition of the good work they've done. Now, what young Fred did was, with great delight, made an appointment to see his supervisor and said, look, supervisor, this is what I earned. And his supervisor went, all sorts of funny facial expressions, did not believe. And he said to him, Fred, I didn't believe you had that sort of ability. And within 3 months, he was promoted. He was in charge of all that floor of that warehouse. And within 2 years, he actually managed that whole building. Now, the moral of the story is he would never have had an opportunity unless our training, our Wood Badge training, and the way it's been packaged was recognised by the federal government through the vocational educational training sector, and Fred had an opportunity and his own motivation to complete the qualification, which allowed him better career prospects. So formal recognition of adult training, a big bonus for young Fred. Now, the last little bit I want to say about this as we move through is that to get to that stage, it meant a little bit of work. All of the Wood Badge training, all the key modules were mapped against what was then in industry. In other words, there were equivalent modules that could be undertaken in qualifications linked to those that were mapped and ultimately secured so that we could deliver the training associated with those modules. And so you can see there it's not too hard to be able to do that mapping. There's a correlation between what you see there for scout training and what you see there in industry. Thanks. Okay, so we have happy campers. We've got people there who've received their diplomas, whatever they might be, and it's equally good for everybody. So Gilwell Woggle leads to the next level as happy campers. Get their Wood Badge. I think so. Again, can you see the facial expression? Yeah? Okay, thanks. And the opportunities that's led for people to be able to get other jobs or other opportunities in the work that they do because of scout training. Now, that can be a variety of things. People that would do jobs that they feel that have had no significance in society have suddenly felt that my scout training is worth something. And I've gained these additional qualifications that have helped me get to do bigger and better things with my life. Thanks. Now, Australia, like your NSO or NSA, is a diverse country. And we have, like you have, range of different people. They come in all shapes and sizes, just like we are all here today. We all come in different shapes and sizes. We all do different things, but they all have a leadership role in scouting, and they all have an opportunity to do their training and to value add that and be recognised for that extra work. Now, that can lead to things like doing additional courses, and they're recognised as well. And also, because of our status as a registered training organisation, as one of those spin-offs, is that it allows us to be recommended and to be an opportunity for people to apply for awards, Queensland Training Awards, and recently, over time, the Outdoor Education Awards for good programming and good opportunities for people. So recognising the work that Scout Training has done. And so whether we get the opportunity to participate in doing other things like being members of the training team, as you would see on the left, or similarly as you see by that picture on the right, just because that person has gained those qualifications, their skills and their experience are recognised in the other way by allowing their experience to help and support others who are doing work of a similar nature. Thanks. And so, Certificate 2 for Venture Scout age, Certificate 3 at basic level, Certificate 4 at Wood Badge and Diploma are all very attractive options for our leaders. Our training is recognised in Scouts Australia, and leaders have an opportunity to undertake that at no additional expense to themselves, but a time that allows them to do their scouting role and to do these other things as well. Thanks. So our training is nationally recognised, and that symbol you see on the right is the symbol that appears on all our qualifications now as being recognised by the government and as transferable between industry, so that if a person comes with a Certificate 4 with that symbol, we recognise that because of a mutual arrangement that exists. Thanks. And so whether you've got those happy people on the left who are receiving an award for that recognition, or looking at some of our places where we have the Scouts Australia Institute of Training, all our campuses are registered training sites, and they are also part of the network of recognising scouting's contribution to the development of adults, who in turn are recognising the work they need to do with adults, when other adults and young people. And that's the bit that we think about with all of this, is that scouting is a game for youth, but for adults it's a job of work. And no matter what we do in scouting, we have that ultimate goal of working for young people. So all the training has been recognised, and we look forward to that as we look at the other parts of the presentation here today and your involvement. Thanks. Saad, I think it's over to you.
I think we were quite impressed. In fact, I was impressed when I learned about this project in Australia. In fact, I got the chance to travel around the world and look in what happened in different organizations, different national scout organization. And for me, this is one very successful project developed, run by our member of the WSEC. But I want to ask, if you allowed me, Paul, I want to know what was the steps, what was the life within Scout Australia, thinking in this project and trying to achieve the dream of the Scout Association, Australia Scout Association.
What was it like? Right. How many of you love change? Do you love change? Yes, some of you love it, you embrace it. There are people who love change, and there are those people who absolutely hate it, and there are those people who sit on the fence and can't make up their mind. Now, the same thing happened with all of this. There were those who could see this opportunity as being something enormously powerful for leadership and the development of scouting in Australia. There are those that said, oh, come on, this is going to mean extra work. It's going to cost us all this extra money. It's going to do blah, blah, blah. Ugh. Over in the middle, we got those who said, yes, I think it could work. Well, I don't know. A few things we need to consider. There was some opposition. However, when the groundwork was done and people could see the advantages and what it could do for the development of leaders who could then put that into better programs and working with young people, it was a no-brainer. It's now embraced willingly. It's just part of what happens in Scouts Australia now. It's just part of the business. It's the way it happens.
Perhaps, Paul, one question more. What was the perception, the feeling? It was really easy to sell your crazy idea to outside, to other stakeholders?
Well, that was probably the interesting bit, because here we have scouting and other outside organisations. When we're sort of talking about this idea, they're saying, but all you do is camping or help little old ladies across the street, even when they don't want to go. Or you're doing other things that don't connect. So why are you doing this? Well, the question became one, back to them, well, why not? Why not? It's going to be good for us because it's going to be good for the development of our leaders, because we all like to feel recognised. We all like to feel that we've had some reward for the work that we've done, and this was a golden opportunity. So while there were those people outside who said, oh, come on, why is scouting doing this? Once we started to develop it, there was a lot of interest. As a matter of fact, in the early days, we had a couple of mutual agreements with a couple of organisations that could actually tap into those qualifications through scouting through their own youth arrangements, because they couldn't get the qualifications because we had the strength and the size and the ability to be able to deliver. So others soon caught on and used what we were doing.
Thank you, Paul. I think it was important to see not to look just the iceberg, the visible part, but what the hidden one. And I think it's really important to have in mind that, yes, it will be challenge, it will be hard, perhaps complex or complicated, but I think the results, as we can see from this example, I think we are huge benefits for our organization. And just one of them, I think we are all struggling to recruit volunteers. And just to ask the people to give us time, energy for nothing, it's quite tough today. And we know that if we can say, yes, guy, you can work with us in volunteer-based, but what we can offer to you is to help you to develop your potential, your skills, your knowledge, and this is just a small part of our contribution. You will gain a lot of things, but this is a really concrete one. So I think this is really important that we as WSEC, 162 National Scout organization, over 30 million members, we have huge potential. We have the experience, more than 100 years, in training adults, developing projects, managing groups, managing structure. So I think the skills and knowledge, there are no question about that. Now, we are living also in different society, different context, and the non-formal education system are not all the time recognized or well recognized. But this time, a lot of things are changing. And what I want to share with you is just one example from one region, what happened in Europe. And I will not discuss about what happened in the European Scout region. I will discuss about Europe as countries, what happened in Europe. And what I want to do with you is just to have a look what happened outside and to see if we can take that as an opportunity for us to look for this kind of examples. purpose is not to duplicate or to do exactly the same as Scout Australia. I think we can imagine different projects, different approaches. But the concept or the spirit must be the same. We have potential to deliver training and to be recognized. And this is an added value for our members and added value for our organization. So I will just share with you some ideas. This is political statement from state in Europe, from the European and both Council of Europe and European community. This is what they say. And I think it's very important to say that national system of validation of non-formal and informal learning outcome. So they take clear statement that all the member states in Europe must develop a system by 2018 to recognize non-formal knowledge skills training. So this is mean a political body want to do something or must to do something. They ask each country to say what's the qualification, meaning, skills, knowledge, and competencies that each European citizen in a non-formal experience or informal experience or life is gaining, and to recognize this qualification. It means that our leader, let's say a group leader who is managing a group of other adults, organizing project with them, he has experience and knowledge in management to manage people, and this must be recognized. There are a lot of papers. This is just one white paper, and there are many objectives in this white paper. And I would just highlight 3 words. As you can see, the 3 words apply to us. It means that they are targeting us as members. This is the European Strategy for Youth, Investing in Empowerment, 2010-2018. And again, if you can see those arrows, they want to support non-formal education. They want to work in the validation of skills and the recognition of qualification. They will provide guidance and counseling. And the one interesting thing that they are thinking and how or already developing some tools in self-assessment and certification. And this is really interesting because self-assessment means individual doing their own assessments. And we are used to think in the formal system that they are teacher and you are test, exam, whatever, and you are A, B, or 20, and so. And then how we can move from personal or individual self-assessment, and this can be also recognized. And they already start to develop some tools in that. We know that in some association in Europe, they are developing tools. We have at least, you can challenge at least 2 organizations, perhaps others, but I know quite well the tool developed by Scout et Guide de France and another tool developed by Les Scouts in Belgium. So you can ask them also, they have already some tools and self-assessments, how they are translating what we are doing or gaining as skills, knowledge within Scouting to external audience. So this is one tool that they develop in Europe called European Portfolio for Youth Leader and Youth Worker. A very simple tool. So you have here the criteria to assess your level. Apply to me, to these competencies are no relevance in my situation. This is the code. And you have in this portfolio different competencies, aid to help you to understand what's the meaning, and then you just check in this document. So you fill the form, And then you have very simple tool, just with 4 questions, to help you to think or to rethink in your competencies. So the purpose is just each person can do the exercise, check the boxes, and then try to answer to those questions. And then, 2 final question: what do I need to put in my personal development and learning plan? So it's more in process of personal development. Do I have relevant certificate or letter or other type of proof with which I can demonstrate my competence here? So this really simple tool, the purpose is to go to certification and to recognize the people. I think we have some example here in the room that some NSOs start also to do that, to develop specific tools for our leaders. And I think this is a very simple thing because we can do it by ourselves. We don't need external and formal recognition for that. It's just the way how we can support our leaders, young or old leaders, to recognize by themselves first what they gain from scouting, but also they can use it for external purpose. And for me, this first step helps us also to start to think what kind of competencies people can gain through scouting. And this become the process to think what our colleagues in Australia have already done. So we can have this kind of mapping, and we can say, yes, we really help people to develop, I don't know, competencies in the management and the leadership and so on, so on, so. And I'm using those kind of words because we are not in the bubble. We can use the wood badge, but I think apart scout people, nobody knows what mean wood badge. So I can sell wood badge to a CEO of company. What mean wood badge? So the exercise, what they did in Australia, to try to translate that. And if you will say that we are training people, this is the management or the leadership training, yeah, sound okay. Then perhaps they will ask you what mean leadership training, what you are delivering as training. So we are in this situation. It's what the purpose is what just to have in mind that we have an opportunity, at least one region, but I think probably this is a general trend. Because if you look today, the reality, many organizations, UN agencies, big regional structure, international organization are more and more thinking that if we need to fix or to try to reduce the employment problem today in the world, we need to rethink the education, how we can really equip young generation to be employable, to be part of this process. And they recognize that the formal education system, it's not capable today to deliver that alone. So they are opening the door and saying, in fact, this is the reality. And if, may I add one other trend, that we know, all here, that the knowledge, it's not in classroom. It's not about a teacher delivering a course. This is a really old perception of learning. Today, learning is happened everywhere. I am learning Googling something. I am learning interacting with you. I am learning with different manner. And how we can recognize this added value for others' sources of information, of knowledge. So I think this is really time for us to use this opportunity to see how we can do that. What we can do, what I'm proposing to you now, it's just, let's say, to open the door and to open the floor to challenge the system and to share what is the challenges today for us and what are perhaps we are already doing.
To add to that, Scouts Australia in the last few years has had to take steps to recognise the prior learning, just like you're advocating here, because people come to us with life skills, as you've rightly said. And there is a requirement now in Australia that if, Sard, you came to us in Scouts Australia and you said that I'm an expert packer of Tibetan yaks and I can pack all sorts of ski way, I can ski this way, I can ski that way, and we'll say, that's great, go and live in Victoria because there's no snow in Queensland. But the issue is, Sard comes to us with a whole pile of skills, knowledge, understanding from life, but also there's other things that he does. And if we in Australia said, okay, that's great, Sard, but here is your wood badge training, you still got to do all these things. Now that's not right, is it? So what we've had to do is to say to people, and it's a requirement, is that we need to sit down with a person and say, well, look, yes, you've got all these things. That means that against what you need to do in your wood badge training now, we recognise your prior learning, and there are these things you need to do to complete what you need to do. So recognising their own competency and formally recognising that as an organisation, as scouting, in terms of what they need to do for training.
May I just ask you, here in the room, probably many here have degrees, were in universities, schools, or whatever, to prepare something. And I will tell you what's my university background. Who is here in the room using or working in the area of his degree directly? Okay. How many people are working today don't using directly the degree that they got in university? So as we can see here, it's not more direct line, I got this degree, so I will work all my life in this area of work. And if I will ask those people that they are doing another job, in fact, they are using other competencies, skills that they gain probably not just in university. In my case, I study biology. I'm immunologist. So this is, I need to rethink how adult and scouting are related with the immunology. But this has nothing to do with my university knowledge. It was a really specific knowledge in biology and immunology, very specific branch of the biology. But I learned lots as volunteer in scouting, and this become now my job. And I can say I am perhaps member of the expert family and adults in scouting. And more large than that, I can say I am part of the human resource managers. And I have never, even 1 hour in business school, working in human resource management. But I can challenge human resource directors today. And this knowledge was gained doing other things. That it means that the knowledge is not just related to university. We are gaining a lot of things in our daily life. And we need to recognize this kind of experience. And if we are not doing that, we become sometimes even, sorry for the expression, stupid. Because in this case, and in many of our organizations, if you want to go to wood badge training, you will hear about management, and perhaps the trainee, you have professor and management, and one leader, because he has 4 beats, he's delivering management course. So it becomes just a little bit crazy. So it's more about what people are learning and how we recognize these previous competencies and skills. And this is, I think, very important for our process. Today, in some countries, I know, for example, in France, it's become a really formal process. That's in my case, for example, I can today ask for a certificate, for degree, for master in university in education science without being 1 hour in university. I will go to my experience, I will discuss with the jury, and they consider that I have same level as master students in university, can have my certificate, my diploma without 1 hour in university. It become formal. So I think this what they call the validation d'acquis d'expérience, what the validation of your previous experience. Exactly what Paul tells us. And I think this kind of thing must be developed in our organization. We need to think how we recognize the previous experience, what people are bringing also to the movement. So now, we are talking about example. I think you are convinced that we need to do something. Now, how we can do it? And the purpose very quickly. We think that perhaps we can do something as world organization. What we can do, just an example here on screen, we can think about standards. What means standards? Standard is something that's recognized by not just by us, but it must be recognized by external bodies. This is, yes, it's valid what you are doing. For example, in your organization, National Scout Association, do you have job description of various leader positions? I mean, or all positions in your organization? Yes, we are developing, or we have nothing. And it could be an auditor, external one, who can check, validate, yes, it's done. Okay, I give you this mark. Training opportunity provision. What kind of training you are providing to your members? We have just one model, or we have variety, e-learning, blending, the blah, 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 blah. This kind of tool, if we can agree as WSEC in this kind of standard, there's another question, for example, about the resources. We can be in this situation. The standard process today, it's a really simple one. Nobody can develop what's mean scouting training apart us. We know what means scouting or what means training for us. We can work in this kind of standards. When we are ready, we have the draft, the documents, we can ask this accreditation body to pick or to have in the vault the system, the standard. And then they can see this is the WSEC training standard, for example. It's world recognized. It's exactly the same like the ISO system. They have the whole criteria. This is ISO 14001, mean tac, 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 tac. And there are no difference between Australia and France. It's the same. And if you want to know what mean 14001, you need to buy the ISO 1, and you have all specification. This is the accreditation body. Then, after that, we need certification body. It could be another organization. In fact, it's another institution. Independent one, autonomous one, who is doing the auditing. They check what you are doing against the standard. And they will go to my previous frame to check. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you have good numbers of points, you have your certification. We believe that it could be an option, because we know the situation in many countries. It will be tough, difficult to sell to your education ministry, to your government, that you are, what they did in Australia, you are able to deliver a high quality training. And we believe this kind of system can be a tool that you can say, we have already international recognition for that. It's not just we in Brazil that they say, we are so good trainer, we are delivering so good training. Of course, they are delivering good training. But it's not enough. They need to say, other people, they have nothing to do with our organization. They give us the stamp. So I think this kind of process can help us in some situation to prepare this process. But it's not enough. It's just one tool can be used. What you must do, and this is the last slide, but I think the most important one. You need in each country to do a stakeholder analysis. What are kind of actors you have in your organization? So your training system is in the middle, and if we need to recognize, to look for the formal recognition, it's mean external recognition, we need to analyze what are the employment actors, for example, are expecting from any training system, because they will decide. Again, I come back to France, for example. They are working to develop a professional diploma for sailing. And a part of that, this is done not just by the ministry, but within the stakeholder, you have the French Federation of Sailing, because they will use the people, the experts for that. So they have something to say in the process. So this kind of employment actors must be a part of the process. I know an example, I think it was in Luxembourg, if I'm not wrong. They organize a roundtable with the union, with the employment representative and government to think together what kind of profile, what kind of process they want to develop. The formal education, of course, because we are part of the education family. Of course, governmental authority, but also your internal stakeholders. You are not alone. You are your member, and as all organization, we have this, how can I say, fight of power between structure, between people, between bodies, and we need to have this also in mind. Because as Paul say, it was not easy. You remember those people were here. We will spend so much money. It's not the purpose of our organization. We have nothing to do with that. And there are many reasons for that. And we need to be prepared. Who are the actors? We will have supporters, but we have also people against, or at least not really supportive. And we need to be prepared to manage that. So I think the purpose of recognition, it will be a long path, but we have, again, an example here, at least one, to show what the benefit that we can gain from this purpose. I think, or we talk so much now. Yeah.
Okay, we ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at this. Gotta go back. Wait one. Okay. That one's not working. Okay. All right, folks. Now you've had a couple of scenarios this afternoon, and that scenario that Saad has just presented to you is fairly significant. It has the potential to really stretch and extend the capacity of your NSO or NSA in terms of what you can do for your adults in terms of their scouting. The opportunity for us now is to think about a couple of questions. And the questions are related to, in this notion of this Congress, if we keep doing the same old things we've always done in the NSO we come from, we're going to continue to get the same old results. Now, we might think that's great, that's satisfactory, but are we being honest and are we being true to the leadership who so willingly volunteer their time? Or if they've been coerced into being a leader at that particular time? There's an opportunity for them to have what they do recognised. and the opportunity for us to think about that today. So we've got a couple of questions. Okay, all right. The questions are these. I've got to put my thinking cap on. They're not there for some reason. What I'd like you to do is, if you get into both sides of the room, if we could sort of make that side into sort of two groups. So one group, two group, one group, second group. And I'd like you to consider this question. Number one is, what do you believe could be some of the implications for an NSO in adopting this approach? What are some of the implications for an NSO in adopting this approach? Is that a clear question? Do you understand? Are you ready to break into these little groups? Because we've got people out there in Cyberland who are also wanting to respond to this question. And I'm sure we might get one or two. Have we had any feedback so far, guys? No, nothing. Oh, sad. We're shattered. We're shattered. It's okay. We'll cope. Oh, no. We're right. So if we could get into those groups quickly, just move your chairs, sort of keep around in that little group. And what we'd like you to do is just note somewhere, someone be a volunteer and say, look, I'll take a few notes, because then we can share those at the end when we give you some time. All right. Now, it's just 6 o'clock. And so what I'd like you to do is give you about 10 minutes. So quickly get into the groups, and then I'm going to add to that question. So get yourself sorted. All right, we got our groups. Here's the second part. So the first question is, what are the implications, do you believe, that there will be for an NSO to go down this pathway? All right? Think about your own NSO. You know where you come from. You know what those things are. For some of you, that's probably fairly easy, because I know Hong Kong are already developed a process with some of their tertiary institutions about this. For others, it may not be. So think about, what are some of those implications? The second question is, what are the challenges and the opportunities that exist for your NSO? So what are the challenges and what are the opportunities? It's a bit different to implications. Okay, so challenges and opportunities for an approach to allow formal recognition. Okay? I'm going to give you 15 minutes, folks. Is that enough time? Yes. There's enough collective experience in the room. Please get someone to make a note from what your group is talking about, and we'll get some feedback after the time. Okay. So, folks, are we ready? The clock starts. Are you ready? Yes. Oh, I can't hear you, but we'll see where we go. Okay, time starts now. Okay, folks, just a bit of warning. You got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes, please. Very much. That's time. We love to give you further opportunity to be able to discuss what for some is what you might call a hot potato. For others, it is simply coleslaw. So let's just come back together. So if you've got your seat back the other way, just sort of you can swing it round. And let's see what sort of feedback we've got. Now, bear in mind what we need to do is that we need to get you out of here by 6:30. And in that time frame, we also need to get your evaluation. Plus, we also need to respond to a question statement that's been provided that someone has come through online. So, we've had at least one person. There's probably more out there. There's no doubt about that. But one has made some comments. So we'll come to that in a moment. So just briefly, what were some of the things, the implications and the challenges and opportunities that came out of this group, please? Who is the person that's going to speak? If you'd like to come out here, because our online people then can see, and I'll hold the microphone. You've got your notes, and you're ready to go, okay?
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you. So the implications, first is it's a kind of a summary of what we saw earlier. It's to attract adults in scouting, to reward for the work and time that they put into the organization, and to be recognized by society for what scouting does. So that's our starting point, let's say. So the implications is the first one is to understanding what we train, in this case competences, not as academic or technical skills. How to validate these competences or skills that we can develop in the organization. Learning by doing, applying the scouting method, Um, they mentioned that every field in the in education has a how you call it, like internships. Yes, thank you. Which is experiential doing or learning by experience. Um, Also, what is relevant as an organization? That we are an educational center as well. So we have to change the understanding of what we do as an organization. We are not only a youth organization, we are also an educational movement and training for adults. The challenges, we might need a solid training programs. The standards that you mentioned before will help everybody to align with this idea. We need to assurance the quality of the trainers and the programs that we have. And the opportunities, we didn't get to that point, but we might have more volunteers and more people interested in doing scouting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, that was a good little list. This group here, do you have something that you can add to that list that was different? Yep, please. Green spot, chew the microphone.
Yeah, okay. We talked a bit about that you need to communicate the scouting competence in a professional language, so it's not enough to just put your stamp on a diploma. You need to communicate it as well, and like kind of the implications and challenges and opportunities are a bit intertwined. So it's not all of them divided here. We talked about a bit about that you need to be your own ambassador as well. You need to speak up for what you have learned as well. It's not all about diploma. Like a self-confidence in and know what you have learned as well, and speak up for yourself is really important as well. And something that is an opportunity with this is that it might be easier to like enter the training systems if you already have some skills recognized, formally recognized. Yeah, and also one implication or maybe challenge is that if you want this to become more international, we need to start comparing our training systems between each other if we want to validate it as well. Yeah, so we need to communicate maybe on this kind of events and stuff. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, good. Yes, this communication bit and sharing what each one is doing is important, because that's what Scouts Australia had to do, and to look at what was happening in other training organisations so that you were validating that your standard was equivalent, or at least better, to be able to say, yes, we can hang our shingle up and say that, yes, we are professional in what we do and our leaders are recognised appropriately. So thank you, some good points there. At the back, anything to add, please? Very quickly. Anything to add? Okay, thanks, Phil. Okay, nothing there from that group. So you agree with the previous two speakers, is that what you're saying? Similar challenges? All right, very quickly, please. Thank you. Just make way for them there. Coming through, Mr. Brunei. Okay. Thank you. There you are, sir. Okay, on the spot, chew the microphone.
Thank you. All right, there's a lot of notes we discussed at the back, but I'm going to share with you from the Philippines. From the Philippines, the implication is that the formal education is kind of like important to apply a job over there, but they're trying to get the non-formal education through the system, yeah. So the challenge is the formal people, the system, they look on the specific skill for the undergraduate people, and also the the competition of the potential people. So that's what we discuss. All right, that's all.
That's very good. Thank you. Okay, another clap. Thanks. All right. Yes, some challenges there as well. And those things, anything we do in scouting is challenging, or it should be. How do we extend ourselves if we don't meet some of these challenges? Something to think about. Okay, last group. Anything to add, please? Any challenges, opportunities with some of the implications? You agree what was said? Elston, you're dying to say something. Quick, I'll say the same to you. On the square, chew the microphone. Okay.
Look, our group said what a wonderful opportunity this is for our adults that we train in just exciting life skills. To have them formally recognised and for the community to recognise those skills must be the way forward for scouting. Some of the impacts we thought in our group was, particularly when you start talking to governments, it's important that you get governments on side to deliver this. And in some of the NSOs in our group, the sense was that was going to be a bigger challenge than perhaps what we've experienced in Scouts Australia. But in a few of the other NSOs, it is happening. The time is right. 2018 is achievable. We just now need to start and work with those bodies to make sure that as we move forward and we take this capability that we've got, we're getting their buy-in. And if we do, we will have lots of our NSOs with formally accredited qualifications across the world.
Try my best. Actually, some points were mentioned, and I'd like to add a few. Is that we are, from the very beginning, an education movement. My personal experience is the general public generally think that we are kiddie scout stuff. Just get the kids and have fun with them, and this is wrong. And it's time that we tell the general public that we are educational. Now, why we need to stress that now is because the general education system globally has changed. Like internship. Used to be 20, 30 years ago, only a few subjects has internship. But now, all subjects has internship. That is learning by doing. Now, if you don't show them that we are educational, we originated learning by doing, scouting is going to lose out. Now, another issue that raised that about, well, we're just only achieving a post-secondary level. Now, academic level has no big relevancy here, because if you're a doctor in medicine, you're a doctor because you know a lot about medicine. What do you know about leadership? But if you want to learn leadership, even though you're a doctor of medicine, you have to start learn from the very beginning. So level of academic, it's not an issue here. Of course, one day we all hope that after our wood badge, we get a doctorate degree. Now that is maybe too far-fetched, but what I like to stress is level of academic, it's not an issue here, right? I have some personal question for Paul, but maybe I'll leave that later. Internal challenges, I personally found is more greater challenge than the external challenges. Yes, thank you.
Totally agree. Thank you. Yeah, the internal ones are greater than the external. You're quite right. Okay, look, we've just had a brief look, a little snapshot of opportunity, really. And as I said before, and as Sard and I have talked about this on numerous occasions, we cannot continue to do the same things as we've always done. We've got to move forward. And if we've got an opportunity to pick this up and to move ahead and offer our leadership something that they've never had before, shouldn't we get that opportunity and run with it? Of course we should. Now, I'm not sure what level you are in your NSO, But it's a responsibility for each of us to say, I think this is worth a go. We need to think about this in a positive light and do what we can to sort of say that our training program, our Wood Badge training program, is second to none. It has high credibility. It sets people up to do a job in scouting, but it also allows them, if given the opportunity, to use that learning, those skills and other things that they've got towards other qualification, no matter what those qualifications might be. So that's a challenge for us today, to move this on in our own thinking, but importantly, as we would say, watch this space. So when you hear more, think about this and what it can do for positive steps for your NSO. Now, Saad.
I think it's really important to realize that we are, and we're discussing with Miriam in this point, again, we are 162 National Scout organization. We are over 30 million members. So the diversity, it's not new for us. And there are two ways to see that. We are different, and we can stay in our house and try to do our own cuisine, or we can have a big table to share together. I think it will be a really pity if our organization don't take that as a real opportunity to do something together. Again, the purpose is not the world level deciding what you must do in your National Scout organization. There's absolutely no sense in that. I think the purpose is to see how we can develop together. The World Organization is here just to support the process. The World Organization has no power. The World Scout Committee has no power to impose to any organization to do or not to do something. It must be clear. The World Scout Bureau has absolutely no power to intervene in your National Scout organization. This is your own decision. But again, I think we can work together and to decide that for some topics, if we join our efforts, we can reach the objective more quickly. So for me, it's really important that we can take the opportunity of this Congress to start this kind of thinking together. If here in this room, some people want to start a project, now your responsibility to push not your organization, but also the WSEM as WSEM, saying, we believe this is important for us. And now it's become your duty as WSEM leadership to create the framework, to create possibility to do the job. I think it's really important. Don't miss the opportunity for this Congress to start new thing. What we want here in the Congress is not to think or to improve what we are doing, but really to start new thing and to think for scouting for tomorrow, not for yesterday. So don't lose the opportunity. I think we are here for so many people, so many experiences, so many skills. Please use them. But I think, Paul, we need to answer also one.
There's a couple of comments actually that have come through. And what we might do is if we hand those out, we'll have a look at these questions. Now, more a comment, is it? Okay, the comment is, can I read it on here? Okay, so the comment is down the bottom. Okay, which one are we at? Oh, okay. Yeah, a challenge. Here's a challenge. Someone from outside, thank you for that, has said a challenge is finding the training skills that are desired by leaders as well as desired by employers and the wider community. An opportunity is the genuine learning by doing when leaders are well. Okay, that's a pretty good statement, and that backs up, Anthony, some of the words that you've said. And I think there's no doubt our training program, Wood Badge program, is poised in a position. It might need some tweaking, some revising in your NSO, but it's at a level where it could easily translate into those opportunities. So thank you for that comment. And the question that came from someone is, how can we, where is the comment? Where's the question from that guy? Sorry.
a challenge is finding the training skills. Oh, no, not this one, sorry. Yeah, some of the challenges are that there is a diverse range of skills that need recognizing, and that these skills are obtained from many different areas and fields, not just scout training.
Okay, the comment to that is that we will recognise that people come with a range of skills and experiences. The important thing is that we recognise that. We don't just say, shove that away and say, forget about that. We do know, we do recognise that you come, every person, you in the room, you come to scouting with a wide range of experience, skills that can be useful. So understanding that, recognising that is another pathway, but it's an opportunity to sort of say, good, we do recognise your skills, we can use your skills and utilise them in the way that we can do so profitably for young people for the future. So yeah, we do recognise there's a wide variety of skill out there, but that can be used and acknowledged accordingly as we need to do. Okay, all right. Yep, a request, folks, just quickly.
Okay. Before everyone leaves, can you tell Paul that he's a champ?
Yeah, right, okay. Oh, right, thank you, all right. It wasn't a question, it was a comment from someone who's been listening in. So thank you for that, that's well worthwhile. Sard and I would like to thank you for your involvement in here this afternoon and for your kindness to us and your patience in dealing with some of the technical issues that were experienced at the beginning. So if you could leave your evaluation forms, is a box there. Thank you. See that box that Phil is holding up? It says mailbox. Please put it in there as you go. So it's thank you from me.
And thank you for me.
And good scouting to you each. I want to say thank you to our rapporteurs here today and to our two young people here who have been working very tirelessly in picking up those people from outside. Thank you.